TD Ryan Unleashed is brought to you by Scott Diamond, your State Farm Insurance agent in DeKalb. Call 815-748-3101 or stop by at 2587 Sycamore Road, Suite D in DeKalb. Like a good neighbor, Scott Diamond and State Farm are there. Pizza Villa, pizza, pasta, sandwiches, and more at 824 West Lincoln Highway in DeKalb. Don't forget Kids Eat for Free on Thursday. For delivery or pickup, go to pizzavilla.com or call 815-758-8116. Elder Care Services of DeKalb. Safe, secure, and supported, helping you stay in home where you want to be. Call 815-758-6550 or stop in at 1701 East Lincoln Highway in DeKalb or on the web at ecsdekalb.org. My Insurance Guy in Sycamore covers Medicare to auto care and everything in between. Stop by at 204 South Main Street in Sycamore. Call 815-899-0950 or online at myinsuranceguy.com. And welcome into TD Ryan Unleashed, podcast number 65. Honored and have a privilege to have with us a member of the DeKalb Sustainability Alliance. What is that? Well, they advocate for transparency and accountability for our local elected and appointed government officials while highlighting the community's environmental issues and sustainability. And here to talk about that is Megan Wheeler. Megan, how you doing, my dear?
Good. How are you?
You're also an author, are you not? I applaud you for that. That's wonderful.
Thank you. Thanks.
Tell us about that. You're especially known for her rich description and keen observations of emotional nuances and connections. What do you write about?
Thank you. So my first novel is called Guardians of the Keys, and it's a magical realism novel. So it takes place in the real world, but has magical elements to it. And I set it in the Midwest in a made-up town called Brightonville, Illinois, because I'm from Illinois, and I really, love the state that I'm from. And so, it's a sweet novel. And then I'm now in the process of editing with my editor and my publisher the second novel, which is the prequel to Guardians of the Keys, called The Book of Secrets.
All right.
Yeah.
I remember, I forget which author it was, but he says, I hate to write, but I love to have written. So, do you like to write? Do you enjoy writing?
I do love writing when I'm doing it, but I am in classic writer's fashion. We are the biggest procrastinators because we're perfectionists, and so it gets to that point where you go, I don't want to write because I know I can't get it as good as it is in my head. But then if you discipline yourself enough, next thing you know, you're just caught up in your imagination and the writing flows. But
all right. Well, that's for another podcast.
Yeah, it is.
I'd
Thank
enjoy
you.
That too. But
thanks.
Let's talk about what's going on. Let's go back a little bit of time. Now, we talked
Sure.
about this group. We're going to learn more about the DeKalb Sustainability and Alliance group. But back on March 9th of this year, of 2025, rather, Megan, you, the second ward resident, voiced concerns about the council's December 8th, 2025 approval of the data center, specifically questioning the transparency and the due diligence of the process. She highlighted vague and promotional language in the official documents and company materials regarding turbo cell technology and noting the lack of concrete data or explanations. So I was wondering about that myself, because many of us were at that city council meeting or we watched it. For 2.5 hours, people spoke on that, and there were equal number, although a lot of people were from out of town. There were from, the people that would be working on this project. But I didn't like the process. We were talking off the air about that, and I just had Mayor Barnes on a podcast here a couple of weeks ago, and I said it just looked really bad for them to let people speak for 2.5 hours. Then they waived the second reading, and just kind of applauded like it was in the works all along. And Amy Dahl, former DeKalb Park District leader, spoke and said, I remember her specifically saying, can we at least delay the vote until the next city council meeting so we can gather more information? And they just went and waived the second reading. So tell us your thoughts. Were you at that meeting?
I was not, unfortunately. I was at my board meeting for the organization I work for, but I did have a chance to watch the meeting later. But that's how DeKalb Sustainability Alliance came together, is because of what happened.
Oh, what? Okay.
Yes, that was the impetus for us to say, hey, this is a time for citizens to get together, and we're passionate about sustainability, about the environment. It's time to really, put our voice in there and get organized. Because one of the things we talked about as we were forming, we call it DSA, as we were forming this, is that like you said, people spoke at the city council meeting for 2.5 hours, and there was a lot of passion there, and for different reasons. And what happened is, part of the reason we think that it passed and the second reading was waived was because we weren't organized collectively. And so that was something that Amy Dahl and I and some other founding members started talking about. Is like, wow, had we have been organized, had we have had our information, how we have done due diligence as well, this could have taken shape a little bit differently. Not saying that it wouldn't come into our community anyway, but we could have had more transparency. We could have had more knowledge. We could have known like what type of data center this is, because it is different
It is different than the other one.
than the
Meta,
other one
yeah.
that got approved through
But the
by
irony
Meta.
was, even while this was going on over in Joliet, there was people in uproar about the data center there, and then they were going to ban the data center, and now they're going to have the data center. And in Yorkville, I know they built one the size of Central Park, is how they described it. So some scary stuff going on. So it's a major, not only a national issue, but it's a big issue right here in Illinois.
It is very much so.
But you pointed out, too, because in defense of Meta, they pumped a lot of money into the local economy here in DeKalb. There's no denying that, helping the school systems. And, of course, the second data center that's proposed isn't a water-cooled system. It's, my understanding, a gas-cooled system. So,
Right, like a closed-loop system is
right,
what they
yeah.
call
So it
it.
wouldn't necessarily tap into the water supply here. But let's talk about how you responded here with this. Because she highlighted vague promotional language. So when the mayor pointed out to me that they covered all the federal and state regulations that they're required to do, is that some of it just lip service, that we will do this and we will do that? But,
That's what it looked like when I did my due diligence. I did a lot of research before I spoke at City Council, and I, went through all these different websites, and it turned out that Edged, which is the data center, is owned by Endeavor, which is owned by Berg Warner.
Right. You have
So
to do
it's
your
like
homework.
all these little different things, and so if you keep going down that rabbit hole and you keep researching it, and I found those further reaching statements, I think they're called, or something like that, where they use words like possibly, maybe, like literally there are these words there like speculation and all these things. So that right there was a red flag to me, that I was like, wait a second, that means that they're promising one thing.
Right.
And then that doesn't necessarily mean what they're promising is what our community will get. And that really worried me.
Now, I feel like in a position, and the mayor didn't say this in so many words, but he did imply that if we didn't do this, some other town in Illinois would do it. But that doesn't seem like a reasonable explanation to kind of bypass some things.
Not to me, no. And that was
And I'm not saying they bypass anything. I'm just saying.
Right. No, and that was something that was concerning to me, and why I wanted to be part of the DeKalb Sustainability Alliance was the fact that our voices were not heard. Now, on the flip side, if you talk to some of the city council members, they will say, none of my constituents came. It was on the agenda. Nobody voiced their concerns, so I didn't think it was a big deal. But I think that's the disconnect that we're experiencing, not just here in DeKalb, but I think at local government all over, statewide, federal. And I think that the momentum now is that people know they have power and they are starting to come together. And I think that's why it's another thing that part of our mission statement is that holding local and appointed officials accountable and asking for transparency. We have to actually meet them in the middle too. And so encouraging them to have town hall meetings more frequently. They might be like, oh my gosh, that seems like too much to do. And I understand, but at the same time, the more you're out there, the more you're talking, the more you're getting to know your constituents, that actually you might see the more you have in common than you realize.
The reason I like doing these podcasts so much is, one, to get to know people better, but two is that it's saving. People can look at it whenever they want to, and these meetings that you had, and they try to do it as most convenient for people. But I know it's very difficult for them to show up at those meetings. So it's great that we can get the word out like this. Now, you also went on to say, Wheless asked for clarification about the council members' site visits and the technology alignment with DeKalb's sustainability goals. So the councilmen went out and to the site, made a site visit, and kind of went over the wherewithals there. And but they didn't really elaborate on
They
that.
did not give any information, and I still want to know, like, what did you see? What did
Right.
did you see these turbo cells in action? And I know that corporations, when they have like things that are trademarked or before they release it, I know that they can have some privacy around that. That I understand. But can you put things in speaking terms that lay people like myself understand, and that could give us an idea of like what's coming our way, what can we expect? And it just seems to be like no, we saw it. Don't worry about it. Trust us. It's going on. Next thing on the agenda, and that's frustrating. And I do think, even though it's looks like it's going to happen, this data center looks like it's going to happen, I still think constituents still need to speak up, and I still think we need to talk about it. And ask for transparency and get something in the book saying, okay, here's what's coming. Here's,
Well, is there a Hail Mary? Is there a way you could at least stop
I think
things?
that's what we're trying to do. Like, I know in May 30th, there was, excuse me, May 30th, there was a lobby day in Springfield for the Power Act. That's not going to go through for different reasons, but getting that information out there and getting people motivated and being willing to talk about things. And I think one of the things of slowing it down, I think that's what we're trying to figure out. And I think transparency, maybe having some type of thing where it's accessible to the citizens on maybe the city's site, saying like, here's what's coming.
Well, that is what the mayor said too, that the information is there if people want to seek it out. So,
right, but
and
I
obviously
think
you seek some of that information out.
we can, but I think like with those further reaching statements that we talked about earlier, what is coming? You say one thing is coming, but has anything changed? And there's also something that we're talking about with the DeKalb Soil and Water Conservation District. Dean Johnson was at our open meeting back in May. May 29th is when we had it, or 28th, something like that, where, Boone County has done a survey with a helicopter electromagnetic. It's called HTEM. I have my notes. I can look at it here in a minute, what the exact words are. But Boone County is in the process of having it done, and McHenry County had it done. And what it is a helicopter flies over with a coil that has electromagnetic pulses, and it can basically give a 3D image of the aquifers, because water is crucial, right? Because our local economies depend on our water usage and our water availability. And yes, maybe this turbo cell thing is a closed loop, but they're going to need water. They're going to need water.
Yes.
Data centers have not figured out a way to not use water. Like, even though there's this closed loop with the chemicals in it, that doesn't mean you don't need water to get that chemicals to run through, right? And so there's maybe internal cooling going on, but where's the access for the water to mix with the chemicals to keep that loop going, right? So Boone County has done the survey through the Illinois Geographical Survey, or Illinois State Geographical Survey, and McHenry has their data already. But what
Now, cynics would say, who are they surveying? So the people that live there? Is that
no,
what they're saying?
it's surveying the land.
Oh, surveying the
Yeah,
land. Okay.
so it's non-invasive. It's not harmful. It's basically like a 3D scanning, like an MRI of the land, and so it shows you your aquifers. And it shows you, like, aquifers don't stop at county lines. So where they bleed over and where they go, because I know, like, Joliet is having issues with their aquifer, and it actually affects Bartlett. Or no, not Bartlett, Belvedere.
Okay.
One of those suburbs that start with a B. But, so I know DeKalb Soil Water Conservation District is interested. And they're just in the preliminary, like, investigation, like, hey, what would this do? How would that work? And what that can do, and what we're trying to advocate with them, is it could help DeKalb City, but also DeKalb County know where's our water source, how much is it, where's the ground water, the flow, and what's the health of our aquifers, and that can help us that can help us plan better where to build, what type of economy we want, what type of industry we want going in, and where and why and how, and that helps citizens, businesses, the county, and everything.
Well, when you say the second data center looks like it's going to go through, are you proposing or contemplating a lawsuit or something to
No,
through the courts
I don't think we've gotten that far, but I think what we're just more interested in right now is transparency with local government.
So in a perfect world, would you call the owners back then and ask them these tougher questions, ask them to dig down deeper on these answers?
Yes, yeah. I think that would be one of the things to do. Also, voicing our concerns, especially if we could help the district get that 3D imaging of our aquifers, and just saying, like, hey, this is a good idea, maybe this isn't a good idea, and and just start the conversation more than anything. And I think that's where we're at with DeKalb Sustainability Alliance, is
Well, and
starting the
the
conversation.
due diligence, is critical there. Well, this is an article from the Northern Public Radio back on December 9th. The project proposed by Endeavor Energy, a company that says it's creating a network of sustainable data centers that reduce water use and lessen demand on the power grid. Supporters emphasize the potential for the project to bring in millions of tax revenue, and jobs in the area. So it's hard to argue about that because the mayor cited what they've already done in terms of Meta, what they've done for the city. So the financial benefits, it's hard to argue about that. Residents near the South Point Green subdivision shared concerns during the public hearing about potential noise impact on the project. Now, we've heard that from other places where they live near a data center, there's like a hum or something that, and we all know, I have tinnitus, so I can imagine that would drive people crazy,
and
just a steady hum like that.
Yeah, I do know like the data center in Memphis that's owned by Elon Musk, it's polluting. The air quality is bad. The noise level is terrible. And I know Aurora has had some issues with that as well. So it is something to really think about. Air and water quality, noise quality are very important things. And I would say Meta is, coming in. I wasn't living in DeKalb at the time. We moved in 2021 here. But I think what we're seeing nationwide, that is where people are kind of wanting to put the brakes on these data centers, is they're not for what data centers originally have been built for. Now that AI boom, and people don't really have a handle on AI.
No.
Even the companies that are doing it don't have the handle on it. So I think that is another thing is like, what kind of data center is this? And obviously, based on like information that is, like Mayor Barnes said, that is on the website, it looks like it's an AI data center. So then that begs question like, okay, what are we doing and what are we perpetuating here as well?
Well, here now in this article it says 560 acres the Chicago West Business Center of the Edge will take. Edge is focused on quote co-location and rent space to what is known as hyperscale cloud providers such as Amazon, Microsoft, and Google. So they're actually renting out their own space. Huh? Is that what they're doing?
Right.
Really?
And like Google too is one of those top 5 that's driving the AI race to the, get to the top, wherever that, whatever that means, whatever that leads to, right? So I just feel like citizens as a whole, and what you saw in the December 8th council meeting is people are like, wait, stop, like, wait, slow it down. We don't know what's coming. We don't know what to do. And there were so many different concerns.
We're here. Michelle McGill is another speaker from the South Point subdivision. As she says, quote, during the public meeting, I just think it's poorly placed next to a residential area. Quote, our neighbors are going to endure the noise, lights, and traffic because of the data center. And she says the constant noise from the data center could cause stress, anxiety, and sleep disruption for residents who live nearby.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, I feel like that's a valid concern
I do
to be
too, because
taken
you can't
into.
undo it once it's done.
Once it's done.
Yeah. Now, a suggestion here was a higher berm, but are those the kind of things you're talking about? She also requested a higher berm to be built into the proposed area to further stifle the noise. But will those be considerations that the company will take, as far as you know?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Yeah,
Okay.
and I think that's like, we're such a young organization. We just started really gathering in like January, February.
Yeah.
So,
And you have your meetings at the end of every month, right?
It seems that's where, the next one will be June 25th.
Well, we're recording this in June, so people will hear that. June.
It'll already have happened.
Okay.
It's going to be a potluck out at a park. We don't know yet. The organizing committee is meeting tonight to decide when that's going to be. But our main focus right now is, yes, the data center, but also moving forward, what is sustainability? What does concern us? And so we're focusing on water, which is why I mentioned the 3D imaging, but also getting the word out about the Soil and Water District. They offer rain barrels for sale. They offer fish to stock ponds and compost tumblers. So they make sustainability, for example, affordable for people to do. Like, we just purchased our rain barrel this past spring, and it's exciting because
It is.
I'm helping, to keep some of that runoff.
Well, and you didn't mention the animals, too, because Kathy Stelford, who we all know, a wonderful lady with the Oaken Acres Wildlife Center, asked them to be mindful of eagle population near the proposed construction site. She said, "I've always wanted to at least be a voice for wildlife and tell you that these are your neighbors too." And she mentioned that the vote was rushed and requested more research for the company's facility. Pretty much what you said, and others made requests to delay the vote. I wrote the name Amy Dowell because I remember Amy specifically asking them to wait a little bit longer. And again, that logic of if we don't do it, somebody else will do it, I found that a little questionable as well. So now the new, here is your group. Now, this is an article May 20th in the Daily Chronicle. New DeKalb-based group hopes to foster collaboration for local sustainability initiatives. DeKalb Sustainability Alliance. Next meeting May 28th. That's when you started there. But tell us about the group. And it's a pretty good group. I think you have like 10 board members or 8 board members?
Right now we have 10 organizing members that we try to meet at least once a month just to kind of keep our trajectory going and keep the momentum going. Some of the things that we've already determined that we're working towards is, like I said, the monthly meeting open to the public, and they can decide if this is something they want to join and be a part of, because collectively, it's an alliance. We're trying to bring that in. We also want to be like that place to like uplift DeKalb and DeKalb, for example. They're doing some fantastic things. So just like they run Earthfest, they've done the 3rd Earthfest already, but they're interested in doing a microforest somewhere in town. I think that's still in the works. But like, Soil and Water District, we want to let people know what they do and what they're available. And when, this new technology, if it is something that they can get the momentum on, it could be something that DSA can do and back them and help them with like advocating for it.
Well, did they sign off on this? Is like, for instance, the wildlife organizations, did they sign off on this, or were they probably not even approached on this?
Who?
The project itself.
For the
Yeah, in other words, they didn't need the approval of the DeKalb County Soil and Conservation Group.
Oh, for the data center?
Yeah.
That I don't know.
Okay.
That's out of my purview, so I don't know
Okay.
about that. But I'm just saying, like, what we're doing now is, yes, data center is part of it, but it's not the whole entire focus. So we're focusing on sustainability as a whole. And then the policy piece is that we're asking our members to go to city council meetings, be kind of like a watchdog group, and looking ahead, seeing where we can speak, where we can voice our opinions. The next thing that we talked about is, Planning and Zoning Commission. It might be a good place for us to sit in at, and the Citizens Environmental Commission. Maybe keep that momentum going. We're also starting a book club. I wrote the name down of the book because it's a long title. But it's called Public Policy Argumentation and Debate, A Practical Guide for Advocacy. And it was written by Philip Dalton and
And sorry about that little technical difficulties there. Before the break there, we were talking about the organization, the DeKalb Sustainability Alliance, and you were talking about what you guys are all about, things that you hope to do. Because, sustainability, it's kind of a vague term,
Right.
But you're defining it more here
We
for
are.
us.
We are. We're really looking at like sustainability of our natural resources. About a lot of people are concerned about recycling and waste and even like Human Relations Commission is part of that sustainability issue because you need more of your constituents. You need more of the town and the diversity of the town. So we're going to be having a table at Juneteenth downtown on June 19th and hopefully get the word out there about what we're doing and get more people interested there. The book club, I think I mentioned. I don't know if you're.
Yeah, so you mentioned the book club. You didn't tell us.
So the book club, it's a
name of
long
that
title.
book.
Do you
Yeah.
need me to say it again?
But basically promoting
Advocacy. So
Yeah.
it'll be reading, learning how to be an advocate, and practicing together. Like writing a speech that at city council you only get 3 minutes to speak, and that's not a long time.
It's not.
And so like choosing your words and figuring out like how to get your point across. Practicing public speaking. Some people don't like to do that, but they do.
They'd rather
have
die than public
Yeah,
speak,
but they
yes.
do have a voice, and so giving people that courage and that confidence to do that is one thing that we're looking at.
Now, you've had a couple of meetings. What has been the
yes.
tone? Are people angry, the people that came to join you? Were they?
No, it's
I'm
excitement.
glad you're doing this.
Glad you're doing it. It's really building community, which I think is something, again, a trend that you're seeing across the nation where it's like, wait a second, look up. we're here together. We're in this together. Let's get together. So I think it's more positive than anything.
Now, I'm a big consolidation guy, and of course, in Illinois, we have more units of government than, maybe Texas more, but other than that, we have more units of government. They refuse to consolidate, which drives me crazy. But you mentioned DeKalb, and Amy mentions it as well. Are you combining with them? In other words, are we duplicating things with them?
No,
or
I think we're the advocacy piece for them. We're
Okay.
letting them do them. They're a nonprofit organization, so letting
So you're
them
collaborating with them, right?
collaborating with them. In fact, we may. It's in the works, but we haven't started it yet. So hopefully by July, when this airs, we'll have it. One of the board members, who's also an organizing committee member, Ava Johnson, she's an environmental scientist. She and I have talked about doing like a podcast where we highlight.
Don't start doing podcasts.
Yeah. Sorry,
I'm kidding.
TD. But we're talking about doing that, but spotlighting people around the county that are doing things around sustainability that are cool, creative.
Well, we had our Laredo Taft friends. As a matter of fact, I saw they were contacting you as well because they're doing a great job trying to save that property.
They really are. But yeah, just like spotlighting people that are doing things that are sustainable. Like one person that came to our meeting last month, his dad is originally from Mexico, and when he was a kid, he was working as a migrant laborer, and now he owns a plot. He's had it for 30 years through Rooted for Goods plot on Dresser Road.
Okay.
And that's how like he makes his, can avoid groceries cost and everything like that, growing his own food. So we want to spotlight people doing that, showing other people like, hey, sustainability can be done and it can be fun and it can be community building. So, there's the advocacy piece, there's the policy piece, but there's also the community piece that we're looking to really build on as well.
When I was talking to Mayor Barnes, I thought of the song "They Paved Paradise and Put in a Parking Lot." It was a song from back in the '60s there, but it's
Joni
really
Mitchell,
true.
right?
And and then the Rose Garden at the White House, where Trump just decided to pave all over it. And so I just couldn't believe, they would take the Rose Garden and concrete it all up there.
I can believe it. I can.
Well, let's Amy was talking about at one of the meetings there. She said, Adal said, like, if you look at reports coming out of, and then I didn't realize there's great groups around here: Alliance for the Great Lakes, the Sierra Club, National Wildlife Federation, Environmental Law and Policy Center. All these large organizations are concerned, basically so many of them happening so quickly. So there are groups out there already, right?
Oh, yes.
And it's just a matter, are you trying to bring all those together, like the Great Lakes Sierra Club and the National Wildlife Federation and the Environmental Law Policy Center?
That's a big reach. I think what we're trying to do is more local, like more what's going on in DeKalb County, what's already here, and what can we highlight and what can we lift up and get the message out for them so they can keep the momentum going.
Yeah, well, they say think globally and act locally, right? So
Correct.
they want you to do that. Again, we talked about, they saw about 25 people in their meeting, a good level of interest. DeKalb Sustainability Alliance organized committee headed up by 10 members there. And then your meetings are 7 o'clock on what, the last day of the month? Is that
That's what it's, we're kind of winging it.
Okay.
But yes, that's where they've been landing. So I think we are going to keep that trend going. They've been Thursday evenings here at the library from like 7 to 8 o'clock. And we try to be timely with them.
And what does it look like? Do you make a presentation and let people speak, or how does that play out?
So what happened is I'm a former high school English teacher, so I have no problem getting up and talking to people and lovingly bossing people around. I say that with great love.
Yes,
but
my mother was a teacher. I can relate. I know.
So, Amy and I tend to lead the meetings, and it's a get to know you kind of thing for the beginning. And then we, spotlighted the first meeting that we had was like we had people brainstorm, like, what does sustainability look like? What are your concerns? And from that, we saw water and recycling were two of the biggest ones. Plus, followed thirdly by sustainable transportation and also native planting.
When I was at WLBK, I had an 8th grader. I forget what they were in there for, but this young lady, I asked her what she wanted to do. When she rolled her, and she goes, I want to work with the recycling. I want to teach people how to recycle. And she was very adamant about it, about people putting the wrong things in the recycling bins. And I think many of us don't know what we're doing. I remember I talked to my wife about being food contaminated. Can't put that in there, what can't. But if it's more work, if we're creating more work by
Right.
not doing it properly. And then I read about Asian cultures where they don't recycle, they don't throw away anything.
Right.
Everything is recycled.
Yeah.
So we can get to that
We
point,
can,
right?
and we do actually have a person at the health department that is doing amazing things. His name is Jose. I forget his last name. I apologize, Jose, if you're listening. I want to say it's Alvarez, but I could be wrong. But he is a great advocate, and he is doing a lot of good stuff through the health department in the waste and recycling. He's got the EPA last month. He got a grant for people to come and dispose of like hazardous waste
Okay.
at the airport. That big drive-through thing. That was Jose's.
There's always a
doing.
huge turnout for that. So,
There
people
is,
are
and
just waiting
so
for that. Yeah.
if we can amplify his voice and what he's doing, that can really build the momentum around sustainability. Because I don't know if people know this, but the DeKalb city of DeKalb does have a sustainability plan that got approved, I want to say in 2024. But it just feels like it's a stamp like, yep, we did it, moving
Right.
on. And so I think we're also circling around to that as well, going, hey, wait, you wrote this. Let's
Well, they
look
call
at
that
this.
a breathing document, right? In other words,
Right.
it's all being altered all the time. So.
Right. So that's kind of another part of the advocacy and policy part is like, wait, you have this in play. So let's look at this and, put your money where your mouth is,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Like, let's start focusing our city planning around the sustainability plan. Don't just tell us that here it is. We want to make it like you said, a living, breathing document where it's working. And I think that's where, going into the Citizens Environmental Commission and kind of
Oh,
helping
you stole my fun. I
amplify
was going to
them.
bring that because the Citizens Environmental Commission shall examine, study, and identify issues related to the environment and regularly report on the same to the City Council. City Council may also direct commissions to prepare advisory recommendations on methods and programs best suited to address the issue. So again, they only have the advisory power, right? There's real no power in this committee,
Right.
but
Right.
should hold a lot of.
But they
should
could
a lot of
hold
weight,
weight
right?
if it's allowed. If we, and that's where I think it's the power of the people. Government doesn't necessarily tell us like, nope, this is what we're doing. Yeah, they have home rule and things like that, but we are the ones they're representing. And so I think getting that momentum, and flipping the script again and saying, wait, you're actually working for us, and these people are advising you, and you appointed them, so
Right.
time to listen. So
I was at the doctor's office not too long ago, and the nurse was telling me that you had to advocate for yourself. You have to advocate for yourself, and I guess that's basically what you're telling the people. They have to advocate. They have to step up and let their voice be heard.
And like it's not a it's not a contentious thing. It doesn't have to be a contentious thing
Right.
with city
We're all
council.
on the same
It really
team.
doesn't.
Yeah.
Like we're all in the same team, and it's very obvious. Like I will say, I've been to enough city council meetings. It's obvious that the people sitting up there, they do love DeKalb, and it does matter to them. So kind of just that's why I think bringing those town halls back and like asking them like, please show up, start making these town halls accessible to people and don't worry. I know like a lot of them say like all we do is get people that complain or they're the bloggers that like, want to cause troubles, but that doesn't have to be true.
No.
And for our part as citizens, we have to show up. We can't just say, well, they're not doing it, so let's get mad at them. We have to say, oh, wait. Yes, we have busy lives. Yes, 100 million things on our plate all the time, but what's an hour out of your day once a month or every 3, months? I know John Walker does quarterly town halls.
Yeah.
And
Karen Cesada's doing one here. I
she's
know,
doing
coming
one
up there.
soon.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's great. Yeah, they've all been on our show. Everybody but Mr. Powell has still not been on. I'm going to get him on. But I wanted to mention, this is what I was talking about. The Citizens Environmental Commission meets as needed. So that's very vague.
Yeah,
Right? Who decides who's needed? And when
Exactly. And I think that's kind of a piece of local government that we're looking at. And
Yeah,
saying,
City Manager Nicholas was
this could
talking
do
about
something.
that. What an impressive group, though. But the first name that jumps out at me is Julie Jesmer, who has been a guest here on our podcast. Of course, the Trash Squirrels. People know about the Trash Squirrels. And what an amazing thing that she's done. I thought it was going to be just to do it a couple times and then, say we did it. But she's kept that going, and
That's
the
great.
momentum is amazing.
That's wonderful.
And, of course, a lot of other great people on this committee, too. So will you work with them hand in hand? Again, you're not working against them. You guys are all together.
Right. Yeah, I know one of my friends, she just got on the citizen environmental club, or not club. Oh my gosh, please.
Committee.
Can you please edit
This
that?
is the English
TD?
teacher, ladies and gentlemen.
No, Lori Brown. She's on the commission now, and she's doing wonderful things. Kind of around the sustainability with her nonprofit, Sweet Life Garden Group.
Okay.
They plant food and have give them to food pantries and put food directly in the hands of people and beautify areas like Barb City Manor, and I know the Taylor Street Plaza area has
Looks
some
really
gardens
nice.
from
It
her,
does,
and
yes.
she's had a lot of good things happening. So, yeah,
I wanted to point out as we finish up here that how passionate people are. This was a story in yesterday's Daily Chronicle. Again, we're doing this on June 12th. We're recording this. Dixon man targeted by Lee County officials, former state representative because of a data center issue. According to the probable cause affidavit police filed in Lee County, police reviewed the email sent by Demmer to an email address with a Demmer name, which began by saying, "Shame on you for putting your own personal profits above safety and quality of our community." That's all right. Then he goes on to say, "If that community center comes to town, I will make my life mission to drive you out of this community. Your address is publicly accessible information and your street in public community. I can protest in front of your house all day and all night until you get some humanity and ban the data center. Rescue yourself from the elected office if you know what's good for you and your family." During it went on to say that made online calling to Denver's house as well and did start to organize a meeting there. He says since been put on probation with a court hearing coming, but that's how passionate people feel. Obviously,
Right.
he's taking a very wrong approach here.
Right.
But people feel that strongly about this, don't
right. I think they do, and there. If you look at, I think the young man who was working at the paper company and he set fire to it. Not that I agree.
they?
And then, but in one of the Amazon warehouses, a man dropped down dead, and people were told to work around him.
Yes.
I mean, this is disgusting that we as a society have come to this, and so you can see and feel and understand that anger. And data centers are one of those things that people are starting to get passionate about. And I think that whole idea of wanting to put the brakes on because we don't know what we're doing.
Right.
And the people running these AGI companies, they don't know what they're doing either.
I'm a big James Patterson reader. My goal is to read all of his books. I'm up to 69, and I think there's 200 something. But he did one about the office, it was called, about basically Amazon is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But at one point, the people are going to work for them. They have the house already bought, their refrigerator full of the food that they like, their clothes already bought in the closet for them. And we're inching towards that. I mean, it's sort of such
it's so
a novel.
sad.
I'm like, wait, this is not a novel. What's happening?
No,
It's
and
like,
I would highly encourage people listening to this podcast to watch the documentary called the AI documentary, How I Became an Apocalyptimist. It's very good. It's very insightful. And I follow another podcast with Baratunde Thurston. He has Life with Machines.
okay.
And so there's just so much to learn about, data centers, AI itself, what's coming this way if we can't get that data center,
I
stopped.
just saw on Facebook, there's a school, I think it's out east somewhere. But as part of from going to freshman year to your senior year, you have to go camp out for 5 days on this trail. And they teach the kids to take care of themselves and sustain it. And only the kids. And they have to help each other. And they're out there, no electronics at all. And I just think it's great for them to just separate like that
Right.
and know what it's like to just be in nature like that.
Right. Yeah. I think that disconnect is something that people are now really starting to feel and understand that a little bit more than maybe in the past.
All right, very well. It's been a pleasure to get to know you again. We've been
Yeah.
talking with Megan Wheeler again. Oh, Megan Wheeler, check out your books. Now, where we can find your books at?
Anywhere books are sold.
Anywhere books
truthfully.
are sold?
Yeah.
Preferably Robin's Nest, right? A little
She
bookstore
was
downtown.
selling them. She, you probably have to call and ask her to order it. But you can get it through bookshop.org, barnesandnoble.org. I'm not going to promote the big conglomerate that we just talked about.
Okay.
But that is a place where people can buy it. And you can even get it through my publisher, which is Warren Publishing.
I just wrote down the name Rachel Carlson, or is it Carlson, if I'm saying that right? We were just out in Pittsburgh, She wrote the book, what, Silent Spring? Do you know the book?
I've not heard of that, no.
Oh, it's a classic. It was one of the first environmental books
Oh,
ever
yes,
written.
yes.
I might have the name
But I
wrong.
have not read that one, I will
But
admit.
they named a bridge after her in Pittsburgh.
Yes.
That's what I know. But that book had a profound effect on people. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that'll happen too, if you guys can keep this up. So again, you meet at the end of the month here. So if they hear this in July or even in August, you'll meet at the end of the month, but not on a particular day. We just
Yes, and we have a Facebook page.
Oh, you do? Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
so it's DeKalb Sustainability Alliance. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. Like I said, Ava and I are working on a podcast that will be through Substack, but it also will push through Instagram and Facebook. And then I am working on launching our monthly newsletter. So
Okay.
that's another way that you can find us is by
and the book
signing-
club, right? Don't forget about the book club.
Yeah, the book club. But that's another way that you can find out about what we are working on every month is the monthly newsletter.
All right, well-
And I would encourage people start going to your city council meetings.
Or
Because-
watch him on
Or watch them on YouTube. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a great place. But as a way to stay connected and get to know your older people too.
It's really a great
good.
feel. It's really, you feel very democratic when you're
Yeah,
at the
it really is.
watching
It
democracy
really is.
in action.
And you
It's-
start meeting people, and then you get to know people in your community, and that's a part of it as well.
Well, it's great to meet you. And like I
You
said,
as
you know,
well.
when we first had that meeting, I had a call out on Facebook, and for a couple of weeks, I go, "Does anybody upset about the data center? Will you come on my podcast?" And nobody did. And I'm like, "Boy, this is just going to float by." But you weren't going to have that, were you?
We are not. No.
Well, it's been a pleasure. Give my regards to the whole gang there.
Thank you
And,
so much.
We look forward to having you back. Megan Wheless has been our guest again, and we thank you for that. And that's TD Ryan News Podcast number 65.